Hi there, it's Elaine Hamilton Grundy from the Reiki Centre, and in this video we're going to discuss law of attraction. Now often you may not really look at Reiki as a vehicle for law of attraction, but if you've done level 2 and above, then you know that there are some very, very powerful tools that we start to talk about and we start to utilize that really starts to bring the power of the universe to bear on some of our desires. Now, one of the things that I think is a really powerful kind of belief system to play with, or faith or trust, is that if you can dream it, and I'm not talking about dreaming about being a world-class football player or a movie star or a astronaut, simply as something that would be fun to be. I'm talking about a kind of yearning that you daydream about and that comes from a really, really deep, deep place. I've actually never daydreamed about being an astronaut, and I've never really daydreamed about being world famous, like a movie star or something like this. I actually can't think of anything worse, to be honest, than being somebody that can't even go shopping without having people stop me in the street. So it's not a true yearning for me. The true yearnings are the ones that are attainable. And the reason they're attainable is because this yearning is coming from deep within your spirit. So the first thing is to make sure that your intention is coming from spirit and not from fear or ego agenda, or you have to do it because your mum wants you to do it, or the family is doctors so you have to be a doctor too. That is not the kind of true intention I'm talking about. I'm talking about an intention that comes from a deep soul yearning. And my faith or trust or belief is that if I am having those kind of yearnings, it's because it is in my path. It is possible for me to attain. Not only possible, but it's in my, as Abraham Hicks would call it, in my escrow. It's already in my field and I can feel it. I can taste it. I know it's available to me. But it just hasn't shown up in my energy or in my story or in my life. And the showing up part is what I want to discuss today. And through our tools with Reiki and also some really basic law of attraction tools, especially towards the end of the year when we're looking at going into a new year, 2020 by all accounts. I don't know if you're feeling it, but it just feels like it's going to be a really big, kind of juicy, manifesting kind of year. The world is going through all kinds of adjustments and balances at the moment, and I think we can all agree that this year has been very tumultuous, and there's almost like a feeling that if we put things in place now, if we start to really get clear on what it is we want to manifest for next year, what it is that we want to go into the new decade with, and to bring ourselves into really close alignment with that, it's going to be a really interesting kind of next 10 years, right? So the tool we're going to use is a very simple journaling technique called the ideal scene. And essentially all you have to do is get a piece of paper or a journal and you date it 1 year ahead. And the reason we do that is simply because we want to bring the energy into our knowing as if it's already happened. So if you're going to do this after our virtual Reiju, then you would date it the 9th of December 2020. So like 1 year on, you're writing yourself a letter to say, oh, look what I've achieved. And you can date it and you can write it to whoever you want. It could be a best friend, it could be a mentor, it could be Dear Diary, it could be to yourself, it could be to God, it could be to your guardian angel. It doesn't really matter, but somebody that you're projecting like a letter, and this letter is describing all the things that happened to you next year, but in effect from the viewpoint of gratitude. It's already happened. I am so grateful that this happened or that happened. I'm so filled with wonder that I was able to achieve this or that. And you're writing in the past tense. So this has already happened to me, I've already achieved this, or it is coming into manifestation for me. And then you just write. And the real secret to this is to write from the heart, not from the head, not kind of counterbalancing it the whole time with, can I do this, or is this achievable, or is this really what I want? So that's why we often do it after a Reiki share, after we've shared some energy. And if you're doing this at home, I would really recommend you give yourself a Reiki treatment beforehand, so that your energy is very high vibration and very honest and clean. Then when you come to write this ideal scene, it is coming from a place that you'll see. It comes, you just start writing, and then these desires, these wishes, these wants, these hopes, these dreams start to come from a really deep heartfelt space. And then you just fold it up, you put it away, you don't even bother about it, because the request has already been sent out to the universe. And what I find really interesting is to look at the one that I wrote last year before I write the one this year, to see how it goes. And it's always amazing, and sometimes quite shocking at what you wrote, then forgot you wrote, and then you look at it again and you're like, wow, okay, it really works. Part of doing this process is so that you can see and begin to really trust that those things that come from a deep, heartfelt, soul-based intention or yearning or desire is coming from a much, much bigger place than our little small ego that wants to achieve and attract and has all these fear-based agendas. So a lot of the whole purpose of the law of attraction aspect of Reiki, for example, is to bring us closer and closer into alignment with our truth. And this is something that I think a lot of law of attraction people are now talking about as well. It's all very well to do your vision board, and it's all very well to do your affirmations on your kitchen fridge, or in the morning stuck to your mirror when you brush your teeth. But the quality of the intention is the critical thing. Like, if your quality of intention is not aligned with your truth, then you can be talking about affirmations for the rest of your life. Those affirmations are hollow. They are not real. They're not true to you. If I started writing affirmations about, I want to be like a rock star. I can't sing. I can't play an instrument. And I don't really have any desire to do that. But I felt, if I did that, I would get money, and I would get recognition, and I would get famous, and brands would want to sponsor me. And so all of these secondary agendas start to come in. Then that is not a true intention. A true intention is essentially coming from a heartfelt space of making the world a better place. So it almost always comes from a place of service, and how you can serve the world, and not in a way of, I can serve the world and I can be like a life coach, but actually really I want to be a life coach because I want to escape my corporate job, or I'm just uncomfortable in my life and I think this will save me. That is also a intention based on neediness, your neediness to get out of the mess you're in at the moment. And often, especially when it comes to us in the spiritual world, we are trying to change, we are trying to make the world a better place. But when we don't come from a very clean intention or agenda, there's a sense of neediness that comes into that. And then we end up trying to help people because we think they need help. We think they need us, as opposed to them actually being attracted to get help from us in the first place, clean, very clean. So another thing to also consider when you are writing these intentions is to get very still as well in the run-up. So when you're doing your Reiki treatment in the run-up to doing your ideal scene, it's a very good idea to really make sure that you are in a a really pure place. It can really surprise you sometimes what comes out of, out onto the paper when you come from a very pure place. It's almost always loving. It's almost always bigger than you think it could be. And the possibilities tend to be interesting. And the wording you use tends to be interesting as well. So you play with it. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're writing just ridiculous things, I think in my last one I wrote something like, I'm on chat shows talking about my new book, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure that isn't going to happen by the end of this year because I've got a few more weeks till the end of it. But in writing that sentence, there was something about the bigness of the book and the projection forwards that felt very honest to me. So it's not necessarily the outcome. So you may not get onto chat shows and you may not be speaking to an audience of 1,000, but the intention of writing my message is profound enough to resonate with thousands is a whole different kind of resonance, because it really makes you come into that stance, that energetic stance of my service or my words or my resonance. What kind of quality is it so that it will resonate with thousands of people? And that requires a really kind of deep connection with those thousands of people. And there's something, I'm not really sure if I'm making sense around this, but there's something very powerful about stepping your game up. And when you step your game up, it's really about opening your heart and opening the mind and opening the possibilities of the universe for life to literally come out of you in a way that is recognized by all those thousands of people. Now, it may end up it's just my mum and her friends that buy the book, or it's just like your family that comes and watches your first debut on stage, or whatever it is that you wish for yourself. But that's not the relevant part. The relevant part is, what is the truth that is speaking? What is the authenticity that is coming out of you? And that is the most important thing. And even if it only touches your loved ones and the people around you, that in and of itself is a worthwhile endeavor. And my truth and my trust and my experience is that when you can stay in that vibration and really be authentic and true to yourself, then people find you and they are attracted to you. And whatever service that you're offering tends to be better received than if you're busy trying to kind of fit your own ego agenda into the whole process. I know I've gone off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's just something to consider as you're writing your ideal scene. Is it something that is really resonating with you in a really, really deep place? And my feeling is that if it is, and you really can connect with it, and you really feel excited by it, and your whole body can buzz with it, and there's a feeling of inevitability about what it is that you're writing, then you are 100% on the right track. And then you need to let it go, leave it to the universe, fold up the piece of paper, put it somewhere where you could read it in a year, and let the universe do its magic. And there's a few more steps in between for that, but that's for another video. So right now, write your ideal scene, enjoy, have a wonderful end of the year. Thank you.